people would be like, I saw you on TV, and I was like, public access station playing Romeo and Juliet by the homeschool group. I was there when my little sister was born. I was 11 and it was terrifying. I thought my mom was gonna die.
Hello from Macon, Georgia. We are in a hotel room, clearly. And I figured I would do a video called 10 Things About Me, kind of like the Get to Know You tag, except that I want you girls to answer some of these questions too, if you would be so kind. These are almost entirely questions that you girls have written in. Like, most of the questions I get are really serious, but these are some of the more fun ones. So, are you ready? Question from Nicole. Tea or coffee, and what kind is your favorite? I love coffee, and I can't drink it because I have really bad acid reflux. I'm not sure why. I'm gluten intolerant, so I haven't had gluten, which is in wheat, for like 7 years. I think that may have been part of the reason I've developed acid reflux, because I don't have that wheat like absorbing the acid in my stomach. So, but yeah, I love coffee, and Intelligentsia is probably my favorite. Their lattes that they make are just like out of this world. So creamy. I mean, I like coffee itself, but I really like coffee with a lot of milk and sugar, especially milk. Question number 2 from Anna. What's your favorite thing about fall? Girls, I would love to hear your answer to this question. My favorite thing about fall, I live in upstate New York, so like we definitely get fall. Like it gets colder and there's all the colors on the trees and it's beautiful. And so I would say like the colors on the trees is my favorite thing. I just love being surrounded by beautiful things, whether that's my apartment or my clothes or the leaves in the trees. Like, beauty just makes me so happy. So my other favorite thing about fall is wearing all the layers and the big huge sweaters over leggings and scarves. I'm a big fan. It's like so comfy and so cute and warm and just it just makes me happy. Lex says, what is the one thing in life you wish you would have known while you were growing up? I would say there's 2 things. The first was that I didn't have to be perfect. I was such a perfectionist growing up and would just beat myself up over anything I didn't get right. I just wish I had like been more aware that like, it's okay. You can make mistakes. It's a part of life. It's gonna be okay. You're gonna survive. The third thing that I wish I knew was that it's okay to enjoy beauty. I was the only person in my home who really enjoyed beauty when I was growing up, and I felt like everybody else kind of thought it was me being vain. And there is such a thing as enjoying it so much that you're obsessed with it and you worship it and it becomes an idol and you're being vain. But like overall, my love of beauty wasn't about that. It was like, I love beautiful things and I love making beautiful things, from like decorating our apartment to like cooking beautiful food to wearing beautiful clothes, not all the time, but sometimes. And that's part of who God made me to be. There's nothing wrong with that. That's not being vain. And I wish I had known that, because I beat myself up a lot for feeling like I was being vain and sinful and I shouldn't like beautiful things so much. And I wish I had known that it was okay. That was part of who I was and part of God's gift to me. Shaza Kelly, great username. Where'd you study in Australia? So some of you have heard in some of my videos that I did study abroad in Australia. So I went to what I thought was like right by the coast, but it was in Toowoomba, which is this really small town. It's at the University of Southern Queensland, and I was not near the beach, which I thought it was gonna be, but it ended up being amazing. I loved being there. I made so many friends, that some of whom I still keep in touch with. And that was the only semester in my college career that I wasn't like freaking out over my grades all the time. Like, I was such a perfectionist in college that I really wish I had done things a little differently and not been quite so worried about my grades and been able to just have some fun too. Like, I graduated with a 3.98 and I could have spent more time with friends and less time studying and had a pretty similar grade, or even a little less, and it would have been fine. And when I got to Australia, I was like, I'm studying abroad, my grades don't transfer back, whatever. And I got great grades, and I still was like spending a lot of time with friends and making relationships and memories. And I mean, I know some people need to put grades more ahead of friends, but I think for my personality, I needed to put my friends a little more ahead of the grades, and that would have been good. That brings me to the next question, which is from Nicole, which says, how do you make time for long distance friendships? Actually, pretty much all of my best friends are long distance. I have a few close friends here, but almost all of them live far away. And the hard thing is, I hate talking on the phone. Like, I hate it so much. If I know I'm gonna have to talk to somebody, to anybody, I like dread it. I do not like it at all. I'm like the weirdest girl. No, actually a lot of my close friends hate talking on the phone too, so it works out perfectly. But yeah, we'll like do a lot of texting, and I try to visit them regularly. And so like my best friend lives 4 hours away, and she and I are very intentional and just plan times to get together almost every month, I would say. And like either we'll meet up halfway, or she'll drive out to me, or I'll drive out to her. But yeah, talking on the phone, not my thing. Nicole also asked, what is your favorite book of the Bible and why? I think gut instinctive reaction, the Gospel of John. I just love John's perspective, how he saw himself as the one Jesus loves. And I think that's something we can all learn from, that we are all the one Jesus loves. I think internalizing that and having that be your reality that you live from, like, I'm the one Jesus loves. Not that everybody else isn't, but that you also are. That's life-changing. So I love the book of John. Nalisa says, do you want to have children? And you learned about that on Tuesday. We do want to have kids, but I'll tell you a little more. I was there when my little sister was born. I was 11 and it was terrifying. I thought my mom was gonna die. And my mom is a tough cookie. She like is running her first marathon in a couple weeks, and she does triathlons. And so for her to be in so much pain, I just remember seeing that and being like, there's no way I can ever do this. And that's kind of when I decided I was like, I don't want kids. My mom was like, it's called abstinence training. And I was like, it's called you'll never have grandchildren training. It wasn't something that I've really desired. Like when people would ask, how many kids do you want? I'd be like, probably none. And so when I met James and we started dating, he told me that one of the things he wanted was at least 4 kids. And I remember just sitting there looking at him and like praying, Lord, like, why does this guy want 4 kids? Like, I really like him. I really want to be with him, but like, that's a lot of kids. So I told him where I was coming from, because that's definitely a conversation you want to have before you get engaged or married. And so I just started praying and was like, God, would you just like give me a desire for kids if that's your will? God slowly has started changing my heart. And when I got pregnant with Tiny, it was like, I just couldn't believe how fast I fell in love with that baby. And now that I lost Tiny, I can't wait to get pregnant again. Like, it's the weirdest thing. I'm like, wow, God, you have truly changed my heart. Like, I'm just so excited to have a baby. So yeah, we want to have kids. I don't know how many. We're gonna take it one at a time. I don't know if I can do 4, but maybe I can. Who knows? Life just keeps surprising me. Kimberly says, how will you help or advise your own future daughters on the challenges you wrote about in your books? I'll be like, God help me, I have no idea what I'm doing. I feel like that's probably how every mom feels. But there's 2 things that I think I want to try to integrate if they work out well. The first is just being really honest and open. Like, I think it's easy to parent out of fear and like reacting to things because you're afraid of what will happen. When that happens to me, I want to talk about that with my daughters and be like, here's why my reaction is so strong. Like, I'm afraid of this happening, and just have that conversation. I'm hoping that that will help. And the other thing I want to do is once they get to be like in middle school, I want them to find a mentor outside of our family. There's always blind spots in any family. Your family can seem totally normal to you, but there can be things that are not normal about it. And so I really want to encourage my kids to find a mentor and help them find someone who's trustworthy, who's a little older than them, who they really connect with, and have that person be a really influential part of their life. And then also once they get to high school or even college, just encourage them, if you guys want to go to a counselor, like, we'll pay for it, we'll set it up for you. Because I feel like every kid gets kind of messed up in childhood to some extent. No matter how great of a family you have, like, there will always be things that are gonna be hard, that you're gonna process differently than your parents realize you're processing. But I just think I want to be proactive about having my kids get the help that they need, and realizing that doesn't mean that I failed, that they need help. It's just part of growing up. And I don't want to steal that from my kids, experiencing brokenness and working through it. I think that that makes you stronger, and that makes you able to have compassion on others and relate to other people. So I think brokenness isn't something to run from. I think it just kind of happens, and that's okay. So I'm just gonna finish out with one of the get to know you questions because it's just fun and I have a funny story for it, and I'd love to hear the answer to this for you girls too. Funniest moment in school. So I was homeschooled, and so my mom would often teach these classes for like a bunch of homeschool students. And so for one of the literature ones, we were doing Shakespeare, and she decided it would be cool to have us rewrite Shakespeare and turn it into a movie. So we rewrote Romeo and Juliet as a modern day comedy. So there were probably like 15 of us, and we did an hour-and-a-half long movie, and our public access station like would play it. People would be like, I saw you on TV, and I was like, public access station playing Romeo and Juliet by the homeschool group. And I thought it was so cool, and I made James watch it recently. It is so not cool at all. But it was so fun to do. So I played Juliet in a movie. As you can imagine, it was interesting. I'll play a few clips of that. Here's a section of us at the masquerade ball where Romeo and Juliet meet. So I'm in the leopard skin, and that's Paris, and he was the football jock. And then Romeo is played by a girl because we didn't have enough guys. So yeah, that was awkward. So this is with my friend Melissa, who was like one of my best friends at the time, and we're still good friends. She was like my best friend in the video, and we were cheerleaders at Verona High. And then this was our death scene where everyone was living happily ever after until we got food poison at McDonald's and fell over dead. And my little sister had her movie debut here, coming and trying to see if we were alive. So yeah, that's my funny memory from school. Anyway, I can't wait to hear your girls' thoughts. Are you a tea or a coffee drinker? What's your favorite memory from school? And what's your favorite book of the Bible? I'd love to hear those, or just your answers to all these questions. Love you girls, and I'll see you soon. Bye.